there's not much to know about Ned Shaper, except for I do the same thing every day, you know. Ned Shaper isn't that interesting, really. I first came up with Mat Bevel because, well, I was a mat cutter. There's something about when you look through the website, which is really where you see Mat Bevel, you go through a beveled mat, you know. Originally it was called the General Belief System Technology Project. So that's Mat Bevel. General Belief System Technology Project Expert Mat Bevel. That's my title. Yeah, you know, I lead sort of a boring, very same life. But you have to sort of do that because all I do is just make sure I get tapped into the source each day. And then the source, creativity is not inside you, it's outside you, you know, and you either plug into it or you don't. So I just do what I can, I stay in shape, I eat right, I start my day right. I stay healthy so I can tap into the source, and so, you know, I'm sort of a servant of my art, you know. I just sort of serve the creative flow. So, you know, Ned Shaper is just, I look at it like an insect. That's what we are. We're just a wild animal. All these thoughts we have of us being these other things is a waste of time. And everybody who's, you know, Buddha said the same thing, that's the ego. You know, the whole idea that we spend all these times on these affairs of men, you know, sort of drama and stuff like that, which have nothing to do with the fact that life is what's evolving. And we're supposed to just be there, make sure we stay in the flow, in the river of creation, or God, whatever you want to call it, you know. I mean, I'm basically really sort of a filmmaker that doesn't do film, but I do video and I perform live, but that's knowing that it's eventually going to show up on camera, you know, like on the internet and stuff. So when I go out and I interact with people, I think I sort of make humorous remarks about my episodes of things, and nobody gets that. So you know, I end up having a life of sort of solitude. You know, and again, it's almost like there's an evolving mess in front of me, and I just pay attention to it. You know, but you got to cultivate it every day. You have to have a notebook. I have a notebook in front of me all the time. Ever since I was 19, I've had a notebook in front of me all the time. You record today's evolution of events. Like with me, you know, I have these sculptures, but I can represent them with symbols on the paper, and I can maneuver, because I'm always sort of maneuvering as a stage set or where they belong, because I'm organizing everything like crazy. Actually, sometimes I tell people I'm just a glorified janitor. I mean, I'm really a janitor that went nuts, because I really clean up and organize things, and that's all I really do. And I make art by organizing my stuff. Like, there'll be things there, and I'm like, this needs a place. You know, whatever. I needed the stand it was on. It needs a place, and then, you know, it's just like things will just fit. You know? The idea of me explaining why I do this would be a lie. And I would be doing it so I could sound, you know, to probably get a job at the university, you know. Well, you know, well, Patrick, you know, I knew exactly what I was doing. But the thing is that I, before I could say it this way, because I wasn't really raised to think this way, you know, I got this from my work. And I think people see that too, because the work represents sort of creation. In other words, I make things fit together and then get myself into a situation and I have to solve the problem, and that's how you make art. You know, you sort of just, oh, now what do I do? You know, and so I would always find ways to fool myself so I wouldn't think. And I actually started kinetic art by being a lithographer. I did printmaking. And I was making contraptions to like lob ink onto the stone. We would have these critiques. And in the critiques, everybody would talk about why they did stuff, you know, and what their subject matter was and what the point was. And I'm like, I think they're just making that up to look important, you know. And everybody went along with it but me, you know. And needless to say, I'm the only one of those people that has a show at the museum, you know. So
I am consumed. How else can I say it? I live in a consumer society. I am the reason I exist. I am my own best friend. I am consumed. How else can I say it? I destroy, demolish, and decompose it, annihilate, swallow, drink, and drain it, devour, eat, corrode, expend it. If it still is not exhausted, I use it up or burn it. Also see destruction, use, and waste. For the opposite of consumes, the preservation. I am consumed. How else can I say? I destroy, demolish, and decompose.
like what I do is I say you go down to the river of creation, that's your source. Okay, you're not coming up with ideas, you're just making sure that your friends aren't keeping you from the source, because they're all, hey, come on, let's go get high, let's have a beer, you know. And so you want to get down there, and then when you get there, the water is what if it's a river for water, the water's there. But the way time is to a wild animal is that, sure, they're right there in the river, but they can see down the river and up the river. That's time. I mean, when you're on the river and you see the water, the Mississippi River, and you see that water, you know that water up there is going to be there soon. I mean, that's what time is, sort of. And the truth is, the river, all the river is there at once. That's what time is. I mean, that's why when you find out, like I found out, when you have a really incredible relationship with something in the world, in other words, you're connected to the source, in other words, you're doing what you're impelled to do, in other words, you've found your purpose, you're doing your purpose in life. And remember, you can't choose your purpose. You can't choose anything in life. I mean, we're a wild animal, a zebra, a monkey, whatever you want. They know they don't know what's going to happen in an hour, and they don't care what's going to happen in an hour. And they have no idea, and neither do you. But you, as Buddha would say, you make your life full of pain trying to pretend like you do. That's the pain. The pain is that you think you're in control. You're not in control. Life happens to you. That's what my artwork shows. But I wanted to be an airline pilot, you know. And I thought I'd be in the Air Force, you know. My dad said I wouldn't last an hour in the military. And he was in World War II, you know. Anyhow, he thought I was a smartass. But you know. Well, a lot of things about my dad embarrassed me, like him singing as we would go into restaurants and stuff, you know, because he was a great singer. He was a mechanical engineer. He designed basically the largest machines in the world, shipping cranes. And we grew up in Alliance, Ohio, which had the 2 largest crane companies in the world, you know. And the whole thing about life is just doing the thing you do and what you feel impelled to do. You know, and you do that. You don't think about it, you don't question it, you don't answer anybody's questions, you know.
Right.
And you just do it.
The base on which I tower gives me strength, gives me power. Let us not condone the loner who indoctrinates the owner of the sanctuary tone. Sergeant No Man walks alone. Let us sing, brothers, an anthem of his martyr, gypsy bass, to the service of salvation for an everlasting place. Twixt the pulpit and the soil, twixt the fools who drink the oil, a martyr of the ting-tang, a walla walla bing bang, a mercenary of your plight, for no man makes it right.
You're like, well, what should you do? You know, things in life, you know, they're like, well, you want to do what makes you happy. Which is garbage, you know. To me, it's all about the wild animal. We're still genetically a wild animal. And wild animals go full force until like a day before they die.
Swing rover, my mission is over. Request to contort and give the report. Hook and hang, climb and rhyme, beat and bang another time.
My strength is like my father, sort of, in a way. It's just like my father he was totally an individual, and he didn't care what people thought about him, you know. And his father was the same way. My dad's dad was the only steel worker in Milwaukee not to join the union. And he's like, screw you, you know, I don't care. You're all idiots, you know. And I come from that kind of family, at least on the men's side. So the thing is that means more to how I've created what I've created than anything. It's not being creative. It's the idea that people steer you the wrong way all day long. And other people who make it places or who invent things or, you know, become, you know, very successful at the trade will tell you the same thing. Don't listen to anyone. Mat Bevel demonstrates the power of the individual. And there's all that's junk that people brought me. All I had to do is find a way to pay rent and feed myself, you know. So I didn't have to fly anywhere. I didn't have to get a grant. I didn't have to explain to anybody. I just do my own things and make it out of junk. So there's a world totally built because I followed what I was impelled to do, everything, and followed on my, you know, my thoughts. I never give people my opinions when I do my art. I do what flows through me. I can express my attitudes, you know, because I am who I am, you know. But to me, it's goes against my religion to actually use my ability as an artist, my talents as an artist to push my opinion. you know. And, well, I'm never really done. All my work is one big piece. This is how a wild animal would make art out of junk, sort of. You know, or if nature had to do, because it's just an evolution. It's one step at a time. There's no conscious, it's not ego-based. That's why people like it, because people are trying to search for creation or God. It's the same thing. I'm here to inspire people. I'm here to take you where you are forwards. I don't want to drag things down. I don't want to talk about what's wrong. I don't want to do politics. Ned Shaper will do politics, actually, but Mat Bevel doesn't do politics. Yeah.
Moses, up and down he goes. Woe me to the road. Work me up a bead of sweat. Woe to he who bridles me and puts that bead around my neck. A sweat the Lord.
I'm actually looking for a new building, right? You know, I like don't have a place to, I have no money because I'm living in Tucson where nobody pays you, you know.
Yes, exactly.
Nobody pays you here. It's a hobby art town. I hate to say that, but well, even though it battles with being a hobby art town. There's definitely professional, and there's great, it's not because people aren't talented here, but they have this thing about, yeah, well, it's not like it's a business thing. Like you really want to do it full time, and if you have to suffer, you have to suffer. But that's how you learn where you need to go. I mean, you don't know what's going on if you don't struggle for a while, and usually that's going to mean for an artist money. You know, there isn't anything inside us but a bunch of stories that keep circling around, and people forget that it's all physics. You get addicted to the hormones that come out when you make a fool out of yourself. So your body will take you all day into situations so you'll make a fool out of yourself, so you can feel horrible, but you can't help it because you're addicted to those hormones. You have to stop feeling bad about things and don't think about them again. And art needs to be the kind of thing that makes people sort of see that, oh my God, that's where the action is. And I can tell you, you know, in one way you can say to kids, it's like, look, I've made this whole world. I could have a whole army of people working with me and we could create a huge thing, but I don't. I'm all alone. Why? Because nobody seems to be interested in what I'm doing until I put it in the museum. Because I don't have naked girls. I'm not being like a political anarchist. Blah, blah. It's not a club that anybody knows about joining, you know.